It's my pleasure to introduce Senator Davis. Like any true Texan, Wendy Davis has taken her share of tough fights. Raised by a single mother, Wendy began working after school at age 14 to help support her mom and 3 siblings. By 19, she was on her way to becoming a single mother, working 2 jobs just to make ends meet. Knowing that her education was the only path to creating a better life for her young daughter, Wendy enrolled in Tarrant County Community College. After 2 years, she transferred to Texas Christian University. With the help of academic scholarships, student loans, and state and federal programs, Wendy became the first person in her family to earn a bachelor's degree, graduated first in her class, and went on to Harvard Law School. Wendy was elected to the Texas Senate in 2008, defeating a longtime incumbent in a race widely considered one of the biggest upsets in Texas politics in recent years. In 2011, Senator Davis stood up and filibustered a budget that slashed over $5 billion from our public schools. And Wendy's leadership in the legislature was instrumental in getting a majority of that funding restored to the budget in 2013. Wendy believes that our children deserve access to a world-class education. She believes that improving Texas education can create jobs and keep Texas on top. She continues to work on improving public schools by reducing the number of standardized tests given to students and negotiating the first cost of living increase for retired teachers in more than a decade. Wendy is running for governor because she loves Texas, not just for how good it is, but for how great it is. The opportunities that Texas made available to Wendy, quality public education, strong community college system, college loan and grant programs for deserving students, are what made the difference in her life. Wendy knows that every Texan deserves those same opportunities to do better. She'll fight every day to ensure that Texas remains a state where hard work and determination are rewarded and everybody has a chance to succeed. Please join me in welcoming Wendy Davis.
I'm delighted to join you in Austin this morning. I know that you come from all over the state, and I know that this is a precious time off for you. So for you to come and spend time working on making sure that we develop state policies that are important to you, of course, is remarkable. And I don't have to tell you the incredible leadership you have had under Ginger, and thank you, Ginger, for your very kind words. As you know, you have a president who is a tireless champion for education, and I could not be more honored than to share this stage with her and, of course, to be here with all of you. I'm humbled always when I am in a room full of teachers, because teachers, of course, are doing the very hardest and most important work of anyone, truly, not only for our economy, but obviously for the success of every child and therefore the success of every family across this state. And I know how hard you work. I know how much you care. And I know how very little your work is rewarded in terms of the demonstration of esteem that we once placed in Texas for our teachers. And I'd like to see us return that esteem to you and to your incredibly important work. In the times when our policies have impacted progress, you've made your voices heard in our state legislature, and I am proud to have fought alongside you and Brock and Jennifer and so many others. We fought together in 2011 when insiders in Austin pushed a budget to cut $5.4 billion, leaving our public schools with overcrowded classrooms, teacher layoffs, over 25,000 layoffs across the state, 11,000 of them who were teachers, and of course, fewer important support employees for our classrooms. And we didn't back down. I was very proud to filibuster that cut, a much lesser known filibuster of mine, but one that meant very much to me. And as you probably know, when we came back into the special session after we successfully stopped that bill from passing in the regular session, Donna, oh my God, my mind just went blank. Donna Howard, thank you. She passed an amendment on the funding bill to capture the growth in the rainy day fund for that 2-year period to help stave off some of those cuts. And it was such a brilliant idea that every single person literally in the Texas House supported it. They didn't even have to take a voice vote on it because no one objected. And yet, even though that common sense proposal, that bipartisan proposal, was added to the bill and would have restored in that 2-year period probably $3 to $4 billion of the 5.4 that was proposed to be cut, pressure was put on Republican members by organizations that said to them, you aren't being conservative enough, and we're going to run people against you in your primaries. And that's what's happening, unfortunately, even to our fair-minded, well-intended Republican members today. That's the kind of pressure that they suffer from. And unfortunately, because of that pressure, in the committee, the conference committee, that amendment was stripped off. And the school children and the school teachers of Texas lost because politics trumped what was the right thing to do. And that needs to stop in the Texas Capitol. I was very proud after working on helping in the last legislative session to restore $3 billion of those cuts, to receive the Judy Coyle Texas Liberty Award from your organization. It meant so very much to me. And for me, the award, of course, wasn't just a mark of work I've done. It was a testament to what can be accomplished when people get together with common purpose and shared values for a righteous cause, and that was a righteous cause. Through your early mornings and your late night gradings and through all of the hard work and the patience that you showed to our children in between, each of you has helped shape the bright future that is Texas today. And I am here because I know the profound power of education. I know the profound power that one educator can have to expand horizons and unlock the power of the individual. For me, it was my 8th grade algebra teacher and my 9th grade geometry teacher, Mr. Bishop. His approach to teaching was so personal. He helped us not only see the importance of math, but also the opportunities that lay behind the triangle and parallelogram and pi, and he made math real in our everyday lives. Today, I remember him actually, even though he was my math teacher, as the person who opened my eyes to the world of public service and politics. It was 1976 during a presidential election, and he talked to us quite a bit about that election, and he used it to serve as math lessons for us, one of which was, of course, taking a poll on who we would each vote for president, making me think for the first time as a young person what my values were and who I would choose were I an adult in the voting booth. I'll never forget the day when we chose him as our favorite teacher for our 9th grade banquet to be our honorary teacher speaker at the banquet. Before he got up to speak, the song Dust in the Wind played, which was our chosen class song. How many of you remember that song, right? And when the song played, and of course we all loved that song, but Mr. Bishop got up and truly with wavering emotion in his voice and tears in his eyes, he said to us, "You are not dust in the wind." And I will never forget that. And I would imagine there are children across this state that could tell a story about each one of you and the impact and those simple moments, those statements that you said that encouraged them and that gave them the power to believe in themselves, and to believe in something beyond themselves, as Mr. Bishop did with me. And it's in large part because of him and because of you and because of thousands of other Texas educators that I am fighting to expand opportunity for all hardworking Texans. A 21st century education, of course, starts with all of us. I know enough about math because of Mr. Bishop's teachings that in the last legislative session, when we were struggling to shore up our teacher retirement system and we were working to give for the first time in many, many years a cost of living increase to our teachers, Senator Duncan and I working together collaboratively, trying to come up with a way to add money back so that we could supplement as much as possible the state's share to the retirement system, he challenged me because I told him we weren't putting enough money in. And he said, if you go find $100 million, I'll put it in there. And thank God for Mr. Bishop, because I knew how to go through the budget and I knew how to figure out from the last year's budget process where money had actually been allocated but not yet spent. And I cobbled together $100 million and I brought it back to Senator Duncan, and by God, we added $100 million to the state share of the Texas retirement system. I'm sad that we are losing him. I know he's going to be an incredible chancellor at Texas Tech, but he was a true statesman in the Texas Senate, and he will most certainly be missed. As part of my campaign since October, I have been traveling the state, of course, and I've heard from teachers and principals and parents and students and business leaders, women and men, and the central theme of their conversations is that we have to work in the way that my Republican colleague, Senator Duncan, and I work together. And the way, of course, Senator Van de Putte has so long worked across the aisle to do what's best for education. And it's going to require that of us in order to keep Texas in the lead. And of course, no conversation about keeping Texas strong can begin without starting with a conversation about public education. And that's why I started my campaign laying out my vision for what we needed to do to improve public education in this state. I believe that there is nothing more important than this state's role in making sure that we are assuring a brighter future for our children. And I would assume that there's not a parent or teacher in Texas who doesn't believe that our state needs to do a better job of making sure that our schools have the resources that they need. I'm only standing here today because I got a good education, and my path was an unconventional one. I was already a single mom when I made my way, almost by accident, because a coworker brought a brochure into Tarrant County Junior College. I made my way in. And through education, I have the privilege of standing today as a candidate to become your next governor. And it's so personal and so important to me that every single child, no matter where they come from, no matter their race, their gender, their income level, no matter who they are, they should have the same opportunities that I had to become whatever they dream of becoming.